I think it's pretty safe to say that the OnePlus 6 is quite the formidable offering, but that doesn't mean it's unbeatable. Now, Asus has already done this with the Zenfone 5Z, a phone that manages to offer pretty much everything the OnePlus 6 offers, but at a much lower starting price. Now, LG aims to grab a piece of the limelight with its LG G7 Thinq, a phone that exceeds the features and specifications of the OnePlus 6 on paper, but somehow manages to match it in pricing. It goes after the 8GB version of the OnePlus 6. Both the phones cost about 40,000 rupees. So, if you have this kind of money to spend, which one should it be, the OnePlus 6 or the LG G7 Thinq? Let's find out. Starting with the design, both phones have an exquisite build and feel every bit as premium as more expensive phones. Both have metal frames with Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back for scratch resistance. The LG G7 Thinq takes it a step further by adding shock resistance thanks to the military-grade certification and is IP68 certified too for dust and water resistance, something that the OnePlus 6 lacks. The G7 Thinq also feels a bit more comfortable to hold as it's not as wide or tall as the OnePlus 6. It's a tad thicker, but it's noticeably lighter, which is what really counts. The sides offer better grip too, as they aren't as tapered as the OnePlus 6. OnePlus has its signature alert slider for switching between ringing profiles, while the G7 Thinq gets a dedicated button for Google Assistant and Google Lens. LG racks up more points when you look at the back of both phones. The camera bump is noticeably lesser compared to that on the OnePlus 6, so there's a lesser chance of scuffing the paint in case you don't want to bother with the case. However, they both attract fingerprints very easily. Now between the two, we picked the LG G7 Thinq mostly because of its slightly compact size and the much better weatherproofing. With slim bezels and a notch, both OnePlus and LG have managed to squeeze in a pretty large display in a not so large body. The display on the OnePlus 6 is tad bigger and the optic AMOLED panel is better suited for features like ambient display and has deeper black levels. It also has a cool feature for making the display monochrome in the apps you choose, which is perfect for reading. LG sticks to its IPS panel, which too offers excellent colors and brightness, but also offers a much higher resolution of Quad HD Plus versus Full HD Plus, which makes everything look a tiny bit crisper. The display also supports HDR10 standard, which offers vivid colors when viewing compatible videos. Both phones are powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 SoC, which is currently one of the best chipsets available. There's 120GB of storage on both too, but this version of the OnePlus 6 gets 8GB of RAM, while the G7 Thinq has to make do with 6GB. Now we don't see any real immediate advantage of having that extra 2GB of RAM, as despite LG's heavy customization on the software, it still ran flawlessly. Both phones feature all the latest wireless connectivity standards you would need, including dual 4G VoLTE. You can expand the internal storage of the G7 Plus, which is something you cannot do on the OnePlus 6. Fingerprint sensors work well on both phones, but the face unlock is definitely quicker on the OnePlus 6. Neither of the phones have stereo speakers, but LG has smartly used the body of the phone as an acoustic chamber to amplify the sound, which sounds richer when compared to the OnePlus 6. Also, the better positioning of the speaker grille means you're less likely to block it when using the phone horizontally. The OnePlus 6 and the G7 Thinq handle day-to-day tasks with ease. OnePlus's Oxygen OS is a lot leaner and is based on Android 8.1 Oreo. Now those who prefer stock Android will definitely be more at home with the OnePlus 6. On the other hand, if you want the ability to extensively fine-tune your user experience, then LG's custom implementation would be better suited for you. From reorganizing the navigation buttons to color coordinating your folders, there's plenty of tweaking to be had. While both phones handle the modern 3D games just fine, the OnePlus 6 runs a lot cooler as it barely gets warm. The entire body of the G7 Plus gets quite warm very quickly, which is not something you want when gaming. However, you do get excellent audio through the headphone socket thanks to LG's Quad DAC. If you're looking for marathon battery performance, then the OnePlus 6 has the edge here. Its slightly larger 3300 mAh battery easily lasts an entire day on a single charge, and it also comes with one of the fastest charging mechanisms we've seen. The slightly smaller 3000 mAh battery in the G7 Thinq doesn't quite give you a full day's worth of usage, even though it lasted longer than the OnePlus 6 in our internal battery test. It does support fast charging too, although it's not as quick as the OnePlus 6. The G7 Plus Thinq and OnePlus 6 get an optically stabilized 16-megapixel primary sensors. Under good lighting, the OnePlus 6 is able to deliver slightly better sharpness and detail in landscape shots, which is evident once you zoom into the picture. However, the G7 Plus Thinq tends to handle noise much better on objects that are on the side of the frame. In macro shots, the enhanced sharpness from the OnePlus 6 allows for well-defined edges, which is not something the G7 Plus Thinq does very well. However, in low light, the slightly wider aperture of f1.6 on the G7 Plus Thinq gives it an edge over the OnePlus 6 as it manages to capture lesser noise and offer slightly better detail and punchier colors. Portrait mode works well on both phones for human subjects as well as objects. While OnePlus has used its second camera exclusively for calculating depth, LG's second wide-angle camera is a lot more useful. Not only does it shoot fairly detailed landscapes, the electronic stabilization works wonders, which incidentally is actually better compared to the main sensor. Both smartphones can record 4K video and the quality is pretty good. The OnePlus 6 can shoot 4K 60fps as well as slow motion at 480fps. These are two things that the LG G7 Plus can't do. You even get stabilization at 4K on the OnePlus 6, which isn't present on the G7 Plus. And at 1080p resolution, the shimmer side effect of electronic stabilization is masked much better compared to the G7 Plus Thinq. For selfies, the OnePlus 6 captures better detail and has a more pleasing bokeh effect too. The camera app of the OnePlus 6 is easy to use with all the basic functions in place. However, if you want additional frills, then you'll love LG's camera app. Its Thinq AI has a cool animation when it's trying to read the scene, and the tweaks it performs aren't too intrusive. You get Google's AR stickers too, that's usually found on the Pixel line of phones, a manual video mode, and a super bright camera mode, which combines 4 pixels into one for better detail in low light. Apart from the battery life and perhaps a few camera features, the LG G7 Plus Thinq matches and sometimes even exceeds all features and performance offered by the OnePlus 6. Simply put, if you have 40,000 rupees and you were looking for the best Android phone, then the G7 Plus Thinq is really hard to beat. So thanks for watching our comparison, and for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.